So this could be interesting because now, once again, as I said, after Boris Johnson got completely taken out, and I think after, and depending on how well they might not do at the next local elections coming up very, very quickly indeed, we might once again have to recalculate that there is once again a bigger possibility of there potentially being a general election this year. And once again, these are always gambles and you don't know and predictions. And like I say, sometimes you get predictions wrong. It happens all the time. I'm not afraid to say, yeah, I got that prediction wrong. But the only real people who know when there is going to be a general election certainly is Rishi Sunak and probably the very close circle of advisors and probably the people at Conservative HQ. And they are really the only ones. Also the rest of the Tory party, because they've got a decision to make. Because if they decide, you know what, early general election, their hope would be that they could catch all the other parties on the back foot and run a general election campaign where, you know, they got a head start in the hopes that that might provide them some sort of boost. Now, bear in mind, Rishi Sunak was brought in to try and balance out the party's somewhat bad fortune. But bear in mind, this idea that a lot of Conservatives have that Sunak has balanced the party out, made the party somewhat more electable again after the disasters of Boris and Truss. What's Rishi got to run on? He would have to front 13 years of Tory fail. The only election thing he could spin is, don't worry, guys, 13 years, I know that's been an absolute failure, but trust me, because you could have another 4 years of, you know, good old dishy Rishi, and it'll all be jam tomorrow. And this, remember, guys, is what the Conservatives have been promising ever since David Cameron. David Cameron came in and went, don't worry, guys, it'll be jam tomorrow. You know, Theresa May came in, don't worry, guys, everything will be great under me. It'll be fantastic. Boris Johnson comes in, don't worry, guys, everything would be fantastic for me. Liz Truss comes in and she's literally going out at the same time saying, don't worry, guys, everything's okay. And then you've got Rishi coming in, trying to reestablish something and trying to at least prepare for the idea that they may not win, that they will not win the general election. Or if they do win, they might just hold on with a very, very slim majority because they are certainly not winning this 80-seat majority again. No way in hell are they winning this. All the polls very clear on that. But you've also got to watch things what the donors are doing. And there has been a massive surge in donations from Tory donors, leading people to believe there could be a general election. And I am very much on this as well in reading this article and seeing it myself, thinking, well, if they're giving all this money, they might be going for, let's just go for a general election. You know what? Let's just not hang around for another year. Let's just get this over with and, you know, we'll see what happens. That seems to be the current Tory plan. So we'll go into this article and find out more stuff about what's going on, because like I say, when you get a surge in donations like this can be an indicator for potentially an early general election. Theresa May, exactly the same, got a surge in donations, for which again led her to call an early general election. It wasn't just the polls as well. Boris Johnson, when he became leader, surge in donations. Let's go for a general election, he said. Let's get Brexit done. So it might be coming. It might be coming. But we'll have to wait and see and find out what happens there. That is for sure. So let's go cracking on into this article and find out more about these donations and what's going on here. So, but before we do that, as always, please remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a notation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And of course, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. Like I say, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, the one notation link called Buy Me Coffee, and of course, the Pony Club as well. So, let's find out what we're going on here. So, this comes from iNews with the title of the Tory donations surge and it raises prospects of an early general election. The Conservatives are poised to post more than £10 million in donations in the first quarter of this year, the Eye understands, making an early general election more likely. The party is desperately trying to manage expectations as it heads into the local elections this week. But optimism is beginning to grow inside CCHQ, as official figures are expected to show that the Tories have witnessed, quote, the biggest quarter one funding in a non-general election year ever. It comes on top of polls showing that Labour's huge 30-point lead over the Tories it enjoyed under Liz Truss has now narrowed to 14%, further increasing its optimism. There is now increasing speculation that the Prime Minister could call an early general election just over a year from now, rather than waiting until the autumn or winter of 2024. One senior Tory MP said, it might make sense for him to aim for an election in June next year, with the local elections before being just a test run, another added. Things are a lot better now, and I think they will improve sufficiently to allow us to try for a June election. Now, the reality is you've got a lot of people saying, oh, the grown-ups are now back in charge. There's somewhat favorability and an expectation that Sunak will be able to maybe reverse the damage that has been done. But you look at things at the moment, the plan to deal with inflation by Jeremy Hunt and Sunak is essentially this. We hope inflation goes down. There's no plan. We hope inflation goes down. And we already know that the next budget is going to be described as a giveaway budget to try and woo people into voting Tory. Well, I've said this before. We cannot continue with this Tory government. We have to get them out because they cannot continue. There is no talent. There is no ideas. We've just gone over the ridiculous superconductor idea. The fact that they are spending a paltry £1 billion, and don't get me wrong, that's a lot of money, but for this type of industry, to try and secure these jobs, these factories here for the future, is just simply not enough. And that's because they are dead set against, as we said in that video, against doing any type of that type of sort of government intervention. They're just dead set against it. And as a result, you have a government who is still running this whole idea that austerity was a good thing, and they've stripped public services continually to the bone. We are having this massive round of inflation, which is pushing people to the brink. There's the Westminster bubble of what the Conservatives consider the reality to be, and it's not the reality everyone else is living. because they're in reality, oh look, um, we've managed to close the polls to 14%. That's still not good. That's still not good. Bear in mind at all. So this is something we will have to keep an eye on. That is for sure. And I would hope that at least the other parties are very well aware that this is probably a likelihood this could be called. So, but we continue. There is now increasing speculation that the Prime Minister could call an early general election just over a year from now, rather than waiting until the autumn or winter of 2024. So we have to look at that and see what happens. But the kicker would be you don't know when one is going to be called, and if there is a surprise press announcement by Rishi Sunak, that'll be the clarion call. Oh, Rishi Sunak's holding a press conference. Early general election. Like, if one gets called like that, early general election. So, credit for this upturn in fortunes has been laid squarely at the door of Rishi Sunak, with senior Tories pointing to the return of a steady, more credible leadership under the Prime Minister as an explanation for donors returning to the party. But party sources have also highlighted the recent appointment of the French-born former Morgan Stanley banker Frank Prendergast as Sunak's business advisor for helping to rapidly rebuild the party's reputation amongst investors. It marks a significant turnaround for the party, which had seen donations almost completely dry up by the end of last year, prompting fears that the Tories would be going broke into 2023. Electoral Commission figures show that during the height of Boris Johnson's chaos, which saw dozens of ministers quit the government in protest against his leadership, the party coffers were at their lowest ebb for 2 years. The most recent status, showing the period between October and December of last year, revealed that Labour had outcompeted the Tories, bringing in 7.2 million over the final quarter, the 2.4 million than the Conservatives. Labour figures had put this down to investors turning to them as the party of business in the aftermath of the turmoil caused by Liz Truss's government, which nearly crashed the economy. But senior Tories have said that the mood has changed within the business community. It is fair to say that they are much more happy now, an insider said. I really don't see that. Mainly it's because amongst the big donors, but businesses are really not happy. I mean, that's certainly not the mood I get when I sort of go around talking to businesses. That's certainly not the case I get. But I suppose if you're a big business, you know, it's a different thing. Like I say, I'm more talking to sort of medium to more, small and medium businesses, not these large businesses that would be able to give such massive, corporate outgivings. But there you go. He will also continue to say, there will be some very large donations from some people in the next quarter, the report said, which will probably be early June. The PM's new business advisor is doing a great job, very respected. The influx in cash is unlikely to alter the party's fortunes in Thursday's local elections, with the money being preserved as a war chest in preparation for a general election next year. Our key priorities are funding the campaign managers and trying to pay for staff in target seats rather than staff in the London and CCHQ, a source said. So, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting what can happen there. But that is certainly a key indicator. A key indicator. There could be a general election sooner rather than later. That's for sure. Will it happen? Will have to say. Certainly, I think the mood of this budget, this giveaway budget, I don't think it's gonna, shall we say, enlighten the moods. Certainly. I think people will probably see what it is as a giveaway in essentially trying to sort of bribe people, and then as soon as they're back in, back go on the thumb screws, as they say. You've had a bit of relief. Well, we're just going to put these thumb screws back on and just tighten them back up again. So there is a lot of, I think, again, potential damage done. I think if they win you know, it's difficult. It's really difficult. And to be honest, I think I might actually. We'll talk about this week in this week's Pony Club video. Actually, what potentially could happen at the next general election? What are the chances of victory? What are the favorabilities going in forward to all this? We just don't know at the moment. We really just don't know, but we'll see. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.